Hello, and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jack and we're playing some Satisfactory today. It's tips and tricks, and I'm giving you more of the things you are addicted to, the blueprints. So we are going to be looking at these. There's 15 blueprints here, and what we're looking at are 5 specific kinds of blueprints, but at 3 different levels. And they're all decorative and can be part of many visual elements, and some of this can also be used for some functional stuff. So I'm looking here so that you can't get so super spoiled. But let's get into this, and I want to show you the first row of blueprints here. Let's start with all of these blueprints are made in the Mark II Blueprint Designer. So all of these, if you want to load them, you need that. You can place them, that doesn't matter, but you need the Mark II Blueprint Designer to load them into the blueprinter. So let's start here. Blueprint number 1. We're looking at pillars, and this is the level 1 pillar. Very, very simple. As you can see, this is just a asphalt foundation, 4 meters, with some nice painted beams and some big frame pillars in the middle. It doesn't look like much, but it does make a lot of difference when you compare it to just building this. Comparatively, this okay, that's too high. This is exactly the same, like height is the same thing, but this adds so much visual detailing to it. I've even forgotten, or did I accidentally remove that one? Either way, I will fix that when you get to it, because there should be also a pillar here. Perfect. So you guys have access to this. You can get all of this on my Discord. In my Google Drive, there's a link there. You can pick up all of these blueprints for free. No paywall, no nothing. Just come and pick them up in Discord. So let's move on. What is the next level of this? It is a level 2 pillar. As you can see, I have specifically chosen to not put in any lights, any signs, or anything like that, so that it is all about the shape for the pillars. Light is its own thing, and I'm just looking at how to make nice looking pillars. So what I've done here is I have snapped in some stairs in weird ways that kind of like meshes with each other or fights with each other a little bit to create this shape. And then I have, like, in the corner, this up corner ramp with some small steel like frame pillars and everything. And same thing, I've kind of done this as well, because if people then want to use these as floors, like and mesh them with the upper floor for this, they very easily can do so by adding in some catwalks. So what you can do here, very simple, is you can mesh catwalks in here, or foundations. Like, no matter what you want to do, you can put that in here. I think foundations actually works better, because if you have a foundation, I'm just gonna see if I can move it to the middle like this. You can take, for example, in the architecture, you can take this and put in there, and make sure that you can see this, or you can put in some lights. You can build on this a lot, which is the entire purpose, right? So instead of just having your boring, here's a pillar, you can level this up with something simple like this by adding some depth, adding some shape, that can really transform your builds just with a single click. And then we have our level 3 pillar, which we're going with the big boy pillar here. So the idea about this is to have something that not only like utilizes the full scale of the Mark II Blueprint Designer, and with that like convenient middle block, because it's a 5x5, because that's a lot, it changes a lot from when you're doing it differently. So the idea is that you should be able to, let's see, place, if I just snap you to a middle here, and I can go up and do this. That is the idea. Or I can place a floor on top of that, or start a floor on top of that. So I can take a foundation, for example, and go like this, and have a floor starting here, as you can see. And that is like a simple thing. It takes a few seconds to smash down, and it's very, very nice. Now, let's move on to our blueprint number 2. So blueprint number 2 I have added some light into this because I wanted the color. I have, however, not gone with the brightest stuff or anything like that. Instead, it's all about the shape. Oh, that's an autosave. Okay. So here we go with a shape, and the idea is that you take these two walls. So if we go in here and we grab our level 1 wall art, and I stop snapping to blueprints, and I can basically go like this, and I can place this on any wall as a embellishment. Very, very simple. And because there are some signs in there, it also has some functionality working with this. And level 2 of this, as you can see over here, is a larger, more embellished art piece with more light and more color and depth and everything. So to break up a flat wall, you can have these, of course, but you also have the level 2 wall art over here, where I can literally just go like this, place it anywhere I want on a wall, and because of how snapping or nudging works, I can just put that in. You can see that it perfectly aligns, goes into half the wall, and is just locked in there very, very nicely. And you can see how they combine very, very well, like on top of everything. And then, of course, this is like you place the pillars first, and then you place the small frame pillar second, and then you place the signs on top of that. So it's quite simple. But you don't have to think about that if you don't want to. You can just grab them from my Discord. Now, this is the level 3. This is with gold-plated pillars. This is the like adding an extra bit of depth. And if you don't want to have this plane necessarily all over the place, what you can do, if I'm just going to remove this so it's not in the way, what I can do is I grab the level 3 wall art, which is a full-on, boom. Let's see if I can actually align this to the middle. There. It's a full-on grid that you stick to the wall like this, that adds a little bit of a, like if you have a factory, so if the factory floor is out here, then I can have a walkway here for me, where I can exit, because these are massive. You don't really think about that, but they are. And you have this. Very, very simple, very easy to use. And hopefully, if you don't like these specifics, you can actually just go and do your own things. I just want to inspire, and I just want to share a little bit of this stuff. Let's move to blueprint number 3. Blueprint number 3 is lights. And now we're looking at like bright lights. We want to light up the world. If we switch using the Sky UI mod, if we switch this to being night, as you can see, we still have plenty of light because of this. And you can see my torch is off. I have set my settings in Lumen are like, I'm using Lumen. It's pretty high settings and everything. And I have used the console commands to manipulate that as well. So if you look here, I'm using r.aog or AO global distance field .min mesh SDF radius, and I have that at 0.8. So you can see how the light is a little bit different than it might look for you. But yeah, this is the level 1 light I've just put in so that there's light coming off a little bit of everywhere here, because we want to spread the light as much as possible, and we also kind of want it to mix, so that sharp, bright white light kind of mixes with the blue light, and together they turn into like more of a cyan, easy to handle for your eyes kind of light. That is the idea. Second level is like, let's go big with this. We have larger areas to light up, like a large corridor or a large factory space. So we have this, which then adds this little bit to make sure that if you have like a background for it, that you still have some light there, so it's not completely dark, but that this is the focus of your light up set. And then I have a level 3 omnidirectional light pillar, where the idea is that you place these when you have a lot of space around them and all of it needs lighting up. So this can be like, for example, a center divider on a road, or it can be placed as a centerpiece in a showroom, in a factory floor, or whatever it is. What the idea is to kind of like go from level 1, where you have a very simple, very easy to make, like even manually make it light and everything, up to this, which is playing a lot with shapes, adding these in. This is actually the screens clipping through each other to create this shape here and everything. So yeah, a lot of that, very, very nice looking with your lights. And of course, you can build anything you want yourself. These are some of the inspirations that I am trying to give, and thinking in levels and having easy to access decorations. Let's move to our next level, power nodes, or next blueprint, power nodes. And this is the fourth. With power nodes, we're looking at first level 1 is something a little more grounded. This is a little bit more like something you might see in the real world as well, which you just have a power tower that you can connect up a bunch of these to, but kind of closer. Like imagine having these like in your factory connecting up to your different lines, and having the reason why I've put out all of these different ones is because you might have different networks within your factory. One of them might be for light, one of them might be for the refineries, one of them might be for the smelters, and so on and so forth. So you can run them on separate power lines if you want to, or if you need to, you can just take these and connect them up to each other, so you have more lines available. And that's kind of the idea, to have something simple that you can just smack down, where you can have a bunch of different connection points and run separate power lines without them automatically connecting to each other the way they would in a power tower, for example. And that's kind of it. Level 2 is a little bit more abstract. It's a little bit more to what I'm doing over here. Like, these aren't power nodes, but they could be. And that's kind of the idea, that you have something that is like floating and everything. And if we look on the inside of this, you will even see that there's a power pole, a Mark II power pole, that all of these things are connected to. So if we look here, it means that all of these are connected to each other. So whatever you connect to on these will be connected to the same power network. And that's kind of the idea with this one specifically. Like counter to that one where there are separate nodes, this is supposed to be a single connection point, technically. So think about this as a very upscale version of your normal power poles. So this and that is not really a different, or doesn't really have a difference. Just visuals. That's kind of the idea. And then we have a level 3, which is like we're expanding the world power grid, or we want to have like a big power nexus kind of thing. Then you have this monstrosity, where you have a bunch of different connection points. All of these are connected. So all of these are connected to each other. Or they should be. Yep, they are. So I hadn't missed that. So what you then get is a battery here in the middle that's also connected to this. And then you have a connection point all around this with corner points and everything. The idea is that if you're building like a power grid around the world, or if you want to have power as more of a visual center grid or center point for a build for a factory or a roof, for example, or if you're building a power plant and you want themed power nodes and everything, then this is perfect. So this is something that I whipped up to try and inspire that also thinks about more than just like inside a factory kind of size. And that's why it's the level 3 one as well. Now, let's move on to our final contestant, which is belt, decorative belts. Number 5 is decorative belts, and here we go. As you can see, these are just placed in here. These are more mock-ups. I'll be really honest with you guys here. These are more mock-ups to inspire and help you guys, because this is so specific to how you've built your factory that the wall pieces and everything might not actually fit what you're doing with your factory. But these are still, in my opinion, really, really good at inspiring and doing what they're supposed to. And the idea here is that you should be able to take, for example, power shards and place these in. And they will run around. They can't do that here because it's in a blueprint. But if I take, or they're just not connected? Yeah, they are connected. So if I take and place this blueprint, like so, and I place these in, what we will see is how the decoration kind of adds movement and adds life to your build. So that's the idea with these. And you can have something like this, or you can actually hook it into your actual factory as a kind of loop around. So when you're sending it on to the next stage of production, you add, like, you connect it up. So on one end, it goes to a belt here, and it goes up and it goes down and it comes down here. And you kind of have a splitter, or like splitter and a merger, however you want to do it, where the belts kind of get saturated and they get full, but you make sure that they're also sent on to the next part of the production. And this is an actual functional visual element as well, because it means that you know which part of the factory you're in. You can go like this and go like, oh yeah, this is where I'm making my power shards. And that's kind of the idea. Now, the level 2 of this is, of course, our wall piece. This is a backlit wall piece where you're supposed to have like different visual elements, and they, so of course, go in like different directions and all that kind of stuff. So if I add in, let's say, we have steel beams over here, we have concrete over here, and we have the final product of the whole mess being these. What you then get is how they travel around. They go up, they go and split up here, and they go in and they go around, and they keep going like that, which is like perfect in my opinion. You can make a really, really good like centerpiece for a entrance to a factory that shows what the factory does. Instead of putting a sign here that says like, hey, we make encased industrial beams, instead of making a sign that says you can make encased industrial beams in this factory, you have encased industrial beams going on all 3 belts that shows like, okay, that's exactly like, I know that I'm going to find encased industrial beams in here. That's kind of the idea with a decorative piece like this, that is kind of like a convoluted, like big piece of signage that also adds to the movement and life of the factory. And then we have number 3, which I was thinking more corridor. Like, how can you make a corridor? So here's that. This is too big. I have actually not been able to connect up containers to this. But the idea would be that you have a container, like a smaller one, where you can place in some stuff that you then have going around. So when you go in, you walk through this corridor, you can go and you can see things running on the belts, and they always run towards the center, which I thought was a funny detail, because it will look like both parts are running into each other somehow, and it still works. And then you have the same, literally the same thing mirrored on the other side. And I added these like strong light pieces to kind of give more atmosphere when you're walking in the corridor. So that would be the idea, that you kind of walk through the corridor and you can look like, okay, those are the pieces we're producing, and then you can keep on walking. And of course, like I said, none of this is meant to, okay, immediately copy this. Like you can, that would be a challenge in and of itself. Like place one of these pieces and build the factory around that. Or place all 3 of them and build the factory around it. That's entirely up to you and how you want to decorate your factory. But the entire idea is that it is decorative, and that all of this is decorative in one way or another, and not just your standard, I can place this and I'm happy and it works. These blueprints kind of gives you the same option without necessarily demanding more labor. You still only have to place one thing and it's done. So I'm trying to help with inspiring and help especially people with a little bit problem with like, how do I expand on my visual design of this kind of thing. So hopefully these 15 blueprints will be helpful to you. I will put them in a specific folder. So you will have a Mark 1 folder, a Mark 2 folder, and then these 15 blueprints will be in a folder called 15 Decorative Blueprints. That's the folder you need to look in if you want to find these blueprints. So go there and pick these up for yourself. And remember, I want to keep, like, this is a PSA pretty much. Oh, just because I have sorted through all of my blueprint like this doesn't mean that that's going to happen for you. These categories and subcategories are not going to be saved for you. You need to do that yourself. They're all going to end up in here in undefined, in a jumbled mess. But my thought or my suggestion is that you do spend some time sorting through these and making sure that you have them in somewhat sorted like categories and everything. It is going to make things a lot simpler for you to use these, and I hope that you get to try them out. And if you do, if you use them somewhere, I would love to see images of what you do in the Discord as well. Like if you come to the Discord and pick them up, please also share images of what you came up with when you built with these. And with that said, this video is done. I really hope that you enjoyed these 15 blueprints with decorative elements that you can use in your factory that has more or less functionality based on how you use them, because you can connect everything up, you can use them for a basis for stuff. Ultimately, what I do want is for you guys to be inspired and feel like, okay, if I grab that one thing, or ask questions, how did you do that specific thing? Or whatever it is. I do want to help, and I do want to educate, and I do want to inspire. So I do hope that you find something valuable. And with that said, I do love you guys, and see you guys in the next video.